Nothing seemed to go right for the Ravens. The team started the year stumbling over everything. The offense couldn't get moving, the defense looked lost, and fans' patience was already at its limit. But in the middle of all that chaos, something unexpected happened. A name almost nobody knew stepped onto the field and completely changed the atmosphere within the team. The guy came out of nowhere, seized the opportunity, and in just a few plays, began to show a different kind of energy, the kind that spreads to everyone around him. Now, with the way he's playing, many people in Baltimore are starting to believe this could be the turning point of the season. But his story goes beyond that, because nobody, absolutely nobody, saw this breakout coming. You know when it feels like nothing is working? That's exactly how the Ravens started this season. A team full of big names, full of talent, but they simply couldn't turn it into wins. The offense seemed stuck, out of rhythm, and the defense, which had always been Baltimore's pride, was letting through plays that would have been unthinkable before. With a 1-5 record, the feeling was total frustration, as if all the confidence built over the past few years had evaporated overnight. The loss to the Rams in Week 6 even seemed like it would be just another game where everything fell apart. But something changed. The offense, which had been struggling to run the ball, finally started finding some space with Todd Monken's game plan. It wasn't anything spectacular, only 3 points on the board, but it was enough to show that the system could start working if the team stayed focused and executed properly. Sometimes, it's these small signs that spark a turnaround. But the real highlight came on the other side of the ball. The defense, led by Zach Orr, played with an intensity that hadn't been seen in weeks. The group managed to limit the Rams to just 17 points, the best mark of the season, and for the first time, it gave the impression that the system was coming together. The coverage was tighter, the front seven more disciplined, and the team began to regain that physical identity that has always defined Baltimore. It was in this scenario, amid a more organized defense and a team trying to find itself again, that an unexpected name began to stand out, a player who, until recently, had been just another roster member. And it was precisely this story of someone who came out of nowhere to change the mood within the team that became the most interesting part of this game. Because in the middle of so many fading veterans in a season that seemed lost, a new face appeared, full of energy and potential, ready to give Baltimore's defense a fresh breath. Among so many disappointments this season, nobody expected a nearly unknown name to stand out. C.J. Okoye, a young defensive tackle who had barely seen the field, ended up getting his chance out of sheer necessity. With Matt Bike and Broderick Washington Jr. injured, he stepped onto the field almost out of urgency and surprised everyone. He played just 18 snaps against the Rams, but the impact was immediate. He played with power, energy, and physical presence, proving he belonged there. The most interesting part is that it wasn't just a flash. The week before, against the Texans, Okoye had already played a solid game, earning a 64.0 grade from PFF. Then came the game against the Rams, and his grade jumped to 69.4, a leap that showed consistency and growth. Suddenly, the guy nobody noticed started appearing among the highlights of the defense. And in a team desperate for good news, that made all the difference. What stands out about Okoye is the way he plays. He doesn't look intimidated. He doesn't hesitate. And he executes every play with a confidence uncommon for someone so young in the league. Even with limited snaps, he positions himself well against the run, closes gaps, and gives blockers a hard time. He's the kind of player who gets more comfortable the longer he's on the field. And it was precisely this attitude that caught the staff's attention. Okoye isn't the type of athlete who grabs attention with stats or a big name, but with effort and consistency. And at a moment when Baltimore desperately needed someone to ignite a spark in the locker room, he did it without saying a word, just by playing football. And the reflection of that was clear in the coach's eyes, who noticed something different in this young player. John Harbaugh has seen a lot in his years in Baltimore, great defenses, talent emerging out of nowhere, and even improbable stories. But what he's been seeing in Okoye seems to have had a special effect. In his press conference, Harbaugh spoke proudly about how much the player has evolved since arriving at the team. It's night and day, the coach said, describing a complete transformation. And coming from a coach who rarely gets excited about public praise, that says a lot. Okoye came in as a project, a raw athlete with impressive physical tools, but very little real experience. He only started playing football in 2021, practically nothing in NFL terms. Still, what he's learned in such a short time is remarkable. Harbaugh highlighted how much he's grown technically, learning to read blocks, adjust his body, and react quickly. All this combined with the natural strength of a 6 feet 6 inches, 315-pound player. But what's most striking isn't just the technical part. It's the mentality. Harbaugh talked about Okoye's professionalism and dedication, the kind of behavior that inspires veterans and earns respect in the locker room. He's playing seriously focused and showing he can be much more than a temporary substitute. Baltimore needs that kind of energy, someone who doesn't get comfortable, who sees the moment as a real opportunity to grow. And now, with the coach fully convinced of his potential, the trend is that he will get even more playing time. Harbaugh knows this team needs new voices and new protagonists. And perhaps the most interesting part is this. While the Stars are trying to regain their rhythm, Okoye is doing exactly what the Ravens need, stepping up when the team needs answers the most.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
The recognition didn't come by chance. Even before the game against the Rams, the Ravens had promoted Okoye to the main roster, waiving safety Ruben Lowry to make room for the young defensive tackle. This move showed how much the team believes his potential and how willing the coaching staff is to bet on those truly delivering on the field. It's rare to see someone rise from anonymity to become a main rotation piece so quickly, but that's exactly what happened. The numbers also tell an interesting story. In his 3 appearances in 2025, Okoye had 24 snaps against the Chiefs, 38 against the Texans, and 18 against the Rams. It's not an overwhelming workload, but enough to show consistency. And when you combine that with his positive PFF grades and Harbaugh's public praise, it's clear he's heading in the right direction. His performance isn't luck. It's proof he's understanding the game and responding to what the team needs. Now, with the team entering the bye week, this period becomes a golden opportunity for Okoye. It's the perfect moment to consolidate his role, gain confidence, and come out of break with even more playing time. Baltimore returns to action against the Bears, and everything points to him having a bigger role in the defensive rotation. After all, the coach made it clear, those who play well will get more opportunities. And right now, nobody represents that spirit better than Okoye. The Ravens' defense has always been built around tough, resilient players who play with heart. And that's exactly the type of profile Okoye brings back to the group. He may not be the most well-known name, but he's reminding everyone what it means to wear this jersey. And the impact goes far beyond stats. It's about identity, confidence, and the will to fight. Looking at Okoye today is seeing an example of how the right opportunity can change everything. He has the size, strength, and physicality of a dominant player. But more importantly, he has a desire to learn. At 23 years old, with just a few years of experience, he's still far from reaching his ceiling. But the growth is visible, and every game seems to accelerate the process. Baltimore is in rebuilding mode, and having someone like this, with fresh energy and hunger for playing time, could be the start of something bigger. His style of play is exactly what this defense has been missing. Strong against the run, disciplined in positioning, and increasingly comfortable generating pressure in the pocket. Even if he's not yet a consistent pass rusher, the progress is there, and that's what matters. Harbaugh and Zach know that this kind of player can develop quickly when given time and confidence. And that's exactly what the Ravens are starting to give him. With the team at 1-5 and trying to recover, Baltimore needs to lean on new sources of energy. The Stars will return from injury. The schedule will get easier, but what can truly change the course of the season is this new generation stepping up at the right time. Okoye is living proof of that. Someone who arrived quietly, worked in silence, and is now becoming a piece that can change the tone of the defense. And maybe the most exciting part, The Ravens may have found a raw diamond right under their noses. In a year that seemed lost, a player with low expectations is reigniting hope in the locker room. Because sometimes the spark that changes everything comes from where nobody expects it. And C.J. Okoye is showing exactly that in Baltimore. In the middle of a season start that seemed hopeless, the Ravens may have found exactly what they needed. A new face, full of energy, drive, and potential. C.J. Okoye not only seized the opportunity, but gave the defense something it had been missing: intensity and hope. In a team used to relying on stars, seeing a young player stand out like this is a reminder that sometimes the biggest turnarounds come from the most unexpected places. Now the big question remains: can Okoye keep up this pace and truly establish himself as one of the season's breakout stars? Because if he continues to progress like this, the kid could be much more than a great story. He could become the symbol of the resurgence Baltimore desperately needs. And given how things are right now, this might just be the new beginning the Ravens were hoping to find.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.